Okay, so you're about to head into a shepherd interview. Exciting stuff. We're going to equip you with the knowledge and insights you need to stand out right from the flock. We've got RoleCatcher's Shepherd Career Guide and Interview Guide, and we are diving deep into what it really takes to be a shepherd these days and how to just ace those interview questions.
Yeah, it's so much more than just loving sheep, you know? It's about understanding their behavior, ensuring their well-being, and really navigating this demanding but rewarding profession.
Yeah, for sure. So first things first,
Yeah.
right? The interview. I'm guessing they're going to want to know what drew someone to this. Like, what are they looking for when they ask, what inspired you to pursue a career as a shepherd?
Right. So this is your chance to showcase your genuine passion. I mean, were you raised on a farm? Did you develop a connection with sheep from a young age? Or maybe you had a life-changing experience volunteering at a farm sanctuary and that sparked your interest. Whatever your story is, share it with conviction.
So it's about going a bit deeper than just a generic love for animals.
Exactly. Talk about the experiences that solidified your decision. Did a specific book about sheep farming, for example, kind of open your eyes to the realities and the rewards of this profession? Did you witness maybe the annual shearing process and just find yourself fascinated? These details, they really paint a picture of someone who is genuinely interested.
That makes sense. What about those who weren't raised on a farm? Like, how can they answer that authentically if their path to shepherding was, well, less conventional?
Yeah, well, every journey is unique, right? Maybe a career aptitude test, surprisingly pointed you towards shepherding. Or you stumbled upon a documentary about sustainable sheep farming practices and it just, clicked. It's about connecting the dots between your own experiences and this career path you've chosen.
It's interesting you mentioned sustainable farming, the shepherd. The complete career guide actually highlights how technology is becoming super important in this field. Could you touch on that a bit?
Totally. Modern shepherds often use GPS tracking, to monitor their flock's movements, digital record keeping for animal health, and even specialized software for analyzing grazing patterns. If you mention your interest in these areas, especially if a job description hints at it, it really shows you're adaptable and forward-thinking, right?
That's a fantastic point. And speaking of showcasing your skills, how does RoleCatcher help candidates tailor their answers for specific job roles?
Okay, so RoleCatcher's AI is a game changer for this. Let's say a job description emphasizes experience with, let's say, lambing. RoleCatcher can actually analyze that and suggest you highlight, any relevant experience on your resume and in your interviews. Maybe you helped bottle feed orphan lambs or you assisted with a difficult birth. These little details become super valuable.
So it's like having a personalized interview coach kind of guiding you every step of the way.
Precisely. And as you gain more experience, you can continue to use RoleCatcher 2 to analyze new job descriptions and fine-tune your approach each time.
I love that. Now let's get back to those interview questions. What if they ask, how do you manage a large flock of sheep? That seems like it requires a lot more than just, following them around.
Right. This is your opportunity to demonstrate a practical understanding of shepherding. Instead of just general statements, try to focus on the specific techniques you would use. Are you familiar with rotational grazing, for example, to prevent overgrazing and promote pasture health? How would you observe and interpret sheep behavior, to anticipate their needs and identify potential problems early on?
So it's showcasing your proactive problem-solving skills, I guess.
Exactly. Imagine you've developed a system for quickly identifying and separating sheep that are showing signs of illness.
Right.
So you prevent it spreading to the rest of the flock. That's proactive thinking that's really going to impress.
I bet that ties into another question from the guide. How do you ensure the health and well-being of your flock? I mean, that's a big part of being a shepherd, right?
It's absolutely crucial. This question goes beyond, just basic care. It's about demonstrating a deep understanding of sheep health. What are the most common health issues they face?
Let's see. The career guide mentioned things like parasites, foot problems, and then certain illnesses that are specific to sheep.
Right. So the interviewer wants to see that you can not only identify those problems, but that you also have a plan to prevent and address them.
So instead of just saying, I'd call the vet, we'd want to explain our process for recognizing early warning signs or administering basic first aid if necessary, or maybe even implementing preventive measures like regular hoof care and vaccination schedules.
Exactly. If you've researched, for example, different types of sheep feed to ensure proper nutrition, you should mention that too. It just shows you're going that extra mile.
And this feels like another area where RoleCatcher could be super helpful.
Oh, for sure. RoleCatcher can analyze job descriptions to identify, specific health concerns mentioned. Maybe they want experience with lambing complications, let's say. And then it can help you tailor your answers accordingly.
This is all making me feel much more prepared for a shepherd interview. But what about those curveball questions? The ones they throw in to see how you handle, like, the pressure.
Ah, you mean like, how do you handle a difficult or aggressive sheep?
Okay, so we're past the basic questions, and then, bam, they hit you with that one about the difficult sheep.
Yeah.
Because, let's be honest, not every sheep is going to be, like, a docile fluffball.
You're right. Sheep, like any animal, have their moments, and that's why this question, it's less about specific techniques even, and it's more about your temperament and how you handle pressure. Can you stay calm, assess the situation, and react, safely and effectively?
Okay, so what would be a good approach then if, say, you haven't actually had to deal with an aggressive sheep before?
Well, honesty is key. Instead of making something up, talk about your general approach to, stressful situations. Maybe you had to think quickly on your feet in a different job or de-escalate a tense interpersonal situation. The key is to demonstrate those transferable skills, right? Like risk assessment, clear thinking under pressure, and prioritizing, safety above all.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that actually reminds me of something that the Complete Career Guide mentioned. Shepherding can be really physically demanding with long hours outdoors in sometimes unpredictable weather. That sounds, well, challenging at the very least.
It certainly can be, but those challenges are also part of what makes this career so rewarding. You're constantly learning, you're adapting, you're problem solving. And those skills, they're so transferable to other aspects of life, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's about resilience and being resourceful and that genuine love for the work, even on those tough days. Okay, let's move on to another key aspect of shepherding that's highlighted in the RoleCatcher Interview Guide. Sheepdogs. It's that classic image, right? The shepherd with their trusty canine companion by their side.
Right.
But I'm imagining the question, can you describe your experience with sheepdog training and handling? Is about more than just, looking picturesque out in a field.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sheepdogs are incredible working animals, and they're really essential partners for many shepherds. So this question, it's really probing your understanding of their role and your ability to work as a team. Have you ever, for example, observed that silent communication between a shepherd and their dog? It's truly remarkable.
It is. So what if you haven't had any hands-on experience with sheepdogs yet? Is that like a deal breaker?
Not necessarily, no. If you have experience training other dog breeds, that's really valuable. You can highlight your understanding of basic obedience training and positive reinforcement techniques and canine body language.
Okay. And what if even that experience is limited?
That's okay. Just be honest about your experience level, but emphasize your eagerness to learn. Maybe you've, researched different sheepdog breeds and their temperaments, or watched documentaries about sheepdog trials. Mentioning those things shows initiative and a desire to, acquire those new skills. And those are qualities that any employer is going to appreciate.
For sure. Speaking of learning new skills, the Shepherd Career Guide mentions that apprenticeships and mentorships are really common in this field. Would bringing those up be a good tactic here?
Absolutely. It shows you're proactive at seeking guidance from those experienced shepherds and, that you recognize the value of hands-on learning. Imagine telling the interviewer something like, while my experience with sheepdogs is limited, I'm actively looking for a mentor to learn from. I believe that hands-on experience combined with theoretical knowledge is absolutely crucial. I mean, that demonstrates a real commitment to personal and professional growth.
That's a fantastic tip. Okay, shifting gears a bit. What about grazing patterns? I'm guessing that's a pretty crucial part of a shepherd's job.
You are so right. Managing grazing patterns effectively is essential for both, the health of the flock and also the sustainability of the land. When interviewers ask, how do you manage the grazing patterns of your flock? They're really looking for your understanding of those underlying principles.
Okay, so what are some, key points to touch upon in your answer?
We'll start with the basics, like rotational grazing. This technique involves moving the flock between different pastures to prevent overgrazing, allow for regrowth, and really optimize land use. Do you have any experience with this method?
And if not, perhaps we could talk about the theory behind it.
Yeah.
Like how we'd adapt it to different environments or flock sizes.
Exactly. Demonstrate that you understand why rotational grazing is beneficial, not just the steps involved. And this is actually where you can weave in your interest in technology again, too. If the job description, for example, mentioned using GPS or mapping software to, track grazing patterns, you definitely want to tie that back to the conversation here.
That's such a good way to, like, connect the dots for the interviewer and show that you're thinking about those practical applications too.
Hmm.
Now, let's talk about something that's both incredibly rewarding but also potentially super challenging: lambing season. The guide mentions that shepherds play a really crucial role in assisting with births and caring for the newborns. So when an interviewer asks, "Can you describe your experience with lambing and birthing?" what are they really hoping to hear?
They want to gauge your comfort level with this really essential aspect of shepherding. Have you witnessed births before? Do you understand the stages of labor, potential complications, and even signs of distress in both the ewe and the lambs?
Yeah, it's not just about witnessing like a natural birth, right? Things can go wrong, and you need to be prepared to handle those situations.
You're absolutely right. The interviewer wants to know that you can handle the unexpected and remain calm when things get really stressful, and make good decisions when it matters most. Have you ever assisted with a difficult birth, even if it was with a different species? Do you have, basic knowledge of neonatal care, like ensuring the lambs receive colostrum, that first milk that's so vital for their immune system?
Let's say you haven't had any direct experience with lambing. How do you answer that question honestly while still, showcasing your potential?
Even if you don't have that direct hands-on experience, you can still show, right, that you're ready. Like you've taken courses in animal husbandry or volunteered at a farm, maybe during lambing season. Or even if you've just thoroughly researched the best practices for assisting with births and caring for those newborn lambs.
So it's about showing you're prepared to learn and you're not afraid to kind of tackle those situations when they come up.
Exactly. You could even say something like, while I haven't personally, assisted with a sheep birthing, I've read up on it a lot. I've researched the process, and I'm really eager to learn, like hands-on from experienced shepherds. I understand how important careful observation is and hygiene and just knowing when to call for help. That shows initiative and a real desire to learn.
Yeah, that's some really great advice. Now, before we wrap up, I did want to circle back to something we discussed earlier. That initial spark that kind of draws someone to shepherding in the first place. We talked about the question, what inspired you to pursue a career as a shepherd?
Yeah.
But are there any additional insights on that you could offer?
Yeah, I think this is where you really want to connect those inner passions to the actual realities of this job. Maybe you're someone who thrives on problem solving and you find a lot of satisfaction in constantly, adapting to the needs of the flock, the challenges of just nature in general. Or maybe it's that deep sense of purpose, knowing you're contributing to a vital food source and just continuing a centuries-old tradition.
Yeah, it's about going beyond, like I said before, just loving animals and really articulating what resonates with you about this very specific path.
Yeah, precisely. The shepherd. The complete career guide actually talks about the deep satisfaction that comes from nurturing life and fostering the health of the land and working, in harmony with nature. If those are things that resonate with you, definitely weave them into your answer.
It's about painting that picture for the interviewer, right? So they can see who you are and how that really aligns with this role.
Exactly. Ultimately, that's what a good interview is, a chance for both people to see if there's, a good fit.
This has been so insightful, I have to say. We've covered so much, from just the core duties of shepherding to the challenges to how to really craft those compelling answers to common interview questions. And of course, we can't forget how valuable RoleCatcher is in helping candidates prep for this really cool career path.
Absolutely. From analyzing job descriptions to actually tailoring those resumes and practicing interview answers, RoleCatcher really does empower those candidates to put their best foot forward. It's like having, as we said before, a personal career coach just right there in your pocket, guiding you.
So for anyone out there feeling maybe a little intimidated by that upcoming shepherd interview, just remember, with the right prep and the right tools, you can confidently go in there and show off your passion, right? Your knowledge, your readiness to embrace this job.
Yeah.
Yes, the challenges, too, of this incredible profession.
Well said. And don't forget to check out RoleCatcher's full Shepherd Career Guide and think about signing up for that free account to unlock even more resources. It really could be the key to, unlocking that dream career.
And for all our listeners out there, no matter what career path you're on, we want to hear from you. What's the most, unexpected or challenging interview question that UVE ever faced? Share your stories on our website. You might just inspire someone else's deep dive.